You're watching McKinney Vision, online, on air. Hello, I'm Carl Schuchman, along with Mayor Brian Loughmiller, and
Hello.
This is McKinney's Mayor's Minute. With the holidays coming up, you've got really good news. The last time I drove out on 75, there were actually things you could drive, and it's not a parking lot anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, you get out there, and especially from Virginia up to Bloomdale, it's like 5 lanes, and it just seems like there's no traffic because we're so used to having bottleneck. It's amazing.
Well, and everything you talked about, the fact that once we get that thing settled in, then real estate's going to come back, and the economy is cooking along now, and so we're really going to see some results of that traffic being.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard to attract development when you have so much construction going on, and of course, the planning that we go through, and we've been going through for the last 2 or 3 years, will come to fruition. Especially, we're talking with a lot of retailers, and we have the agreement with Retail Coach to help us establish, what our demographic wants, and to help us meet that market. So now that 75 is finished, and of course, there's still a little bit of construction plans for 380, but for the most part, our main corridors, 380, 75, and 121, are ready for development.
The amazing thing for me to understand is that 75 is not really close to downtown, and yet the fact that 75 now is open, that opens up the old, what I call the old courthouse area. Is that acreage that is right close to the downtown square. That's starting to look very, very productive now, isn't it?
It is, and we had a meeting recently with a developer that is interested in developing the 9 acres basically for mixed use, some residential, some restaurant and retail, and then some office development. And again, I think it's the overall vision and plan for City of McKinney is not to just focus on one specific area. I mean, it'd be easy to sit and talk about 75 and north of 380 because that's kind of the untapped landscape that we have for our city for the next 30, 40 years. But we want to be purposeful and intentional in how we protect our downtown area as well. And realistically, that means you've got to expand beyond the square. You have to offer other opportunities outside of just the central square of the downtown. People are interested in living downtown, so you have to develop the residential mix, and then also how do you develop that and make it fit in with the historic nature of all the homes and everything around it. So it's a big task, but we do have somebody that's interested in doing that, and it seems like the negotiations are going very well with that individual. He came into a meeting and gave us kind of a broad brush, 30,000-foot view of how he sees it developing, and I think people are really excited about it.
Not to be able to look inside a crystal ball, but what do you think is going to happen in that area?
Well, I think the whole redevelopment of Highway 5 is important to McKinney, and in that area specifically, what they've shown us so far is the idea of bringing in a mix of townhomes, some multifamily, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 residential units, an internal parking garage that will service that area, some restaurants on the corner, the periphery of it. They have a site for an office building. I imagine that office building, they're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, 40,000 square feet. But the idea is to create a live, work, play environment where people can literally be right there and walk into the downtown area to the restaurants that we have. And I think it'll bring a lot of development because it fronts McDonald Street. People will start looking at, well, what do we have east of Highway 5, and the opportunities for development over in the flour mill area and the cotton mill area. I think it all pulls it all together.
I think in a way it's an example of what you and I have talked about over the years is, the city can not really dictate what's going to go in. You just kind of react to the marketplace.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think that's something that's very important. There seems to be this expectation that city government or government in general is going to go out and make things happen, and not in the sense of a regulatory fashion, but oh, we're going to actually go out and make Dillard's come, or make Macy's come, or make an office building come. And that's not really how it works. It really is a matter of, you know, what will your demographics support? What will your market support? What is the, you know, they look at number of drive trips, you know, and there's a limitation on traffic patterns in downtown McKinney. So that has an impact on it. So it's a number of those things, and the reality is that we are going to create some limited incentives to help make that happen, but you can't manufacture a market. If you do that, you're going to end up failing. So these things take a long time, but the important thing is that we're consistent in our planning, and that we stick to a path, even if it takes, as I tell people all the time, you know, I fully expected when I got elected mayor that a lot of the things that were going to happen that were going to be really, really great for McKinney are really going to be tangible. The tangible results will be long after I'm gone. And I'm more interested in the planning process to get there, so that whatever happens 5-10 years down the road, I can feel that you know, it had a lot to do with the planning that we're doing right now.
All good stuff.
Absolutely.
And that will do it for this edition of McKinney's Mayor's Minute.
Thank you.
McKinney Vision is owned and operated by the City of McKinney, Texas. Unique by nature.